Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. Week 2's in the books. We're going to talk about that. We're bringing back the Prospect Spotlight Series. We're cooking, baby. That's Nick. I'm Theo. As always, the Drafted Up Podcast. You know where to find us at @DraftedUp_pod on Twitter. If you want to follow us there, sure, go for it. Not very active, but if we get followers, I will be active on the Twitter machine. But more importantly, the show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to your podcast, we're there. Just search Drafted Up Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend, all that good stuff. Shout out Logan. He was the top scorer in our listener league this week. Way to go, buddy. Big week for him. He approved a 2-0. Nick, how you doing?
Leonard. Doing good, man. Week 2 was
doing good.
a lot. Yeah, doing a lot better. Moment of silence for Joe Burrow owners. Oh God.
Your boy's here ready to crash out. Fantasy teams in
on
shambles.
The verge of an absolute crash out.
The Vikings are in shambles. I'm just living.
It's a sad day.
Living in a downward spiral. I'm glad I didn't watch much of any football this week, except for the Vikings on Sunday night, which I wish I didn't. I wish I hadn't watched.
What a game to watch. I watched, I think, every game, honestly. It was a good week, dude. A lot of football, a lot of info. You're finally getting, like, depth chart rundowns. We're seeing actual breakdowns of, like, okay, now we're getting 2 weeks of knowledge and a lot of answers out there. And there are some teams that I still think are set in stone, like Atlanta. They're not really... Penix really didn't pass the ball this week, but week 1 he moved the ball. It was a lot of Bijan this week. Week 1 it wasn't Bijan. It was a split backfield. So Atlanta is one of those teams I think have not had any answers settled through week 2.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't watch any football this week. We were at a fundraiser, an ALS fundraiser for a independent wrestler. So I didn't see much. We're prepping before show, and I'm just like reading through things. I'm like, like this guy. What did I miss? Like, so
yeah. Week 2 was insane.
Yeah, I caught bits and pieces here and there, but I didn't see much. All right, you mentioned it, Joe Burrow. Out for the season, pretty much 3-month recovery time, but I take that as they're only saying that on the slim chance the Bengals could be in playoffs contention or into the playoffs and Joe can come back. But he's got turf toe, which requires surgery, so he's going to be out for a good long time. And I have Joe Burrow, so add that to my crash out. J.J. McCarthy is also going to be out for a little bit of a time. He's got an ankle injury. Not expected to go on IR, so we're looking at 2 to 4 weeks, most likely for him. Aaron Jones, he went on IR for the Vikings right before we started to record. He's got a hamstring issue, so boost up Jordan Mason, who is
to the moon.
The best player on the offense at this point, because who knows what Carson Wentz is going to do. But turf toe. Before Joe Burrow, essentially what like turf toe is, like for anyone who's watching and just like you hear turf toe, it doesn't sound very threatening. But imagine like your big thumb is your toe and it just goes all the way back until everything inside of it snaps. And every step feels like a hammer going through your toenail. So it's like all the ligaments on the underneath side of the toe have completely ripped off, and it's pain. We've seen like guys like Charles Woodson was bad, like well not bad, but Charles Woodson's play went from an elite level to like average for 2 to 3 years, and then he ended up in Green Bay and he started to play back up like Vegas or Oakland at the time. Let him go because his play was average. He looked on the downside of his career, and then once he got to Green Bay, he built back up to being, you know, one of the best players in the league. But it took a while. Like there was a stretch, and Jeremy Shockey, he never bounced back to form when he had the turf toe injury. Like, so we'll see what happens to Joe Burrow going forward. Like this guy just can't defeat the injury bug. Like this was the first offseason he had completely healthy, and now he goes and gets a season-ending injury. So it's rough. It's turning into an Andrew Luck situation there for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's the fear of it, is that Burrow's going to get so banged up that he's just going to have to hang up the cleats early because they haven't got the offensive line to protect this guy. We're going on 5-6 years straight now of just them not improving the offensive line to where it needs to be. And in my eyes, this is 100% on the Cincinnati Bengals. They completely dropped the ball. They have not protected him the way a quarterback should be protected. And at the end of the day, Burrow's an elite quarterback, and what he could do for this league is just 100% better if he's on the field. This injury sucks. And like you said, the guys you named were all grade 3 level turf toes, and they don't come back this season. No one in the history of the NFL has returned the same season with this severe of a turf toe. It just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. I don't expect Burrow to be out there this year at all. And next year's going to be in play. Like, he's obviously going to play, but he's not going to be the elite Joe Burrow that I think it's going to be another slow start next season for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's insane, dude. I cannot stand what is happening in that organization.
Jake Browning is the Bengals' backup quarterback. He's not
competent.
He's not incompetent. Yeah, he's been there for a handful of years. He played a few years ago, and he had top 10 finishes throughout. Like, he had like 1 week where he wasn't in the top 10, and most of the weeks he was a QB1. He's a competent quarterback. He knows the system. He's a quarterback who's usually not afraid to go out there and sling the ball, which is what you want in the backup. Now, against Jacksonville, I did look into it. I know he did really bad. He threw a bunch of interceptions, and they should have lost that game. Bengals should be 0-2, yet they're 2-0. So having a guy like Jake Browning there does give you a little relief in terms of the fantasy options in Cincinnati. Chase, Higgins, Brown should be okay, but they're not going to have the spike weeks per se, sans Jamar Chase, because he's on a world of his own, that they would have had if, like, Joe Burrow's not back there.
Hey, I'm not worried about Jamar Chase at all. He got peppered with targets. He had like 16 targets or something like that. He brought in 14, some crazy stat line. He wasn't targeting T. Higgins nearly as much, so I'm a little worried about T. Higgins' targets going forward. It's not going to be what it was. I'm worried about Higgins and Chase Brown. Chase, because the running back game's not going to be as involved. You're not going to be able to run as easily without Burrow on the field. Yeah, he still has the volume, so he's still going to be a productive running back. But I look at Chase Brown as an RB2 now. It's just a heartbreaking injury with Joe Burrow going down. I look at T. Higgins as a wide receiver 2, like a low end wide receiver 2 now. It sucks. But Jamar Chase does not get affected though. He's still one of the best.
Yeah, I think the 16 targets probably just lends to the fact that Jake Browning just kind of came in, so he was just going to the best player every time.
100%,
so,
yeah.
I think Higgins, like you said, he's a wide receiver 2 going forward. I think Chase Brown is a low end running back 1, mid running back 2 range. So you don't have to bench those guys, but
no.
There is now a little volatility with all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be nearly as consistent as anyone was hoping with all 3 of those guys.
J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, their line, also in shambles, which did affect McCarthy. The Falcons had a ton of sacks on him, and he troopered through this ankle injury. I know the internet's trying to spawn it that this is a soft benching by the Vikings, and it's not. Carson Wentz is the backup there. Kevin O'Connell, he's produced fantasy-relevant quarterbacks, which is why we were so high on McCarthy. So Wentz will be fine in the games he plays. I imagine he plays the next 3. I don't think McCarthy makes it to the overseas game. And then we have a bye week. So, like, we play week 3, week 4, week 5. We have the bye week 6. My bet is J.J. McCarthy's back out there week 7. So, congratulations, Ireland and England. You're going to get the Minnesota Vikings featuring Carson Wentz. But Wentz is fine. Like, Justin Jefferson, you don't have to worry about him. We'll see what kind of rapport he has with Jordan Addison once he's back after week 3. And Aaron Jones being gone is Jordan Mason's backfield now. And we saw what Jordan Mason did last year with the 49ers when he was the guy. And he was an RB1. So I expect that here for him. I expect the Vikings to lean heavily on Jordan Mason in J.J. McCarthy's absence.
Yeah, Mason's obviously going to be the guy, especially with Jones being out. It's going to all rely through him. So he's a really good fantasy option going forward. It sucks you guys' offensive lines banged up. Both your tackles and Ryan Kelly, your center, are looking questionable. I think Wentz coming in helps TJ Hawkinson a whole bunch. That guy's been not used at all. Four targets. Yeah, 4 targets week 1, 3 targets this week with only 1 catch. Carson Wentz used Zach Ertz as his number 1 receiver for many years in Philadelphia, constantly relied on Zach Ertz, and TJ Hawkinson and Zach Ertz are kind of similar guys. They're not going to take the top off of a defense. They're super reliable hand-wise. So I like TJ Hawkinson a little bit more going forward. I'm probably still not going to play him, though. I think there are a lot of streamable tight ends I'd play over Hawkinson going forward.
Yeah, what a world where there's like playable tight ends. Who would have thought?
I wouldn't say any of them are good or anything, but we have a good floor for tight ends this year where they're getting 4 or 5 catches, 30, 40 yards, and you're pushing double digits in full point PPR.
Yeah. Any other news of note? I know Kalijah Cansey's probably out for the year, but that doesn't affect fantasy football. Bucks defensive lineman. Looks like he tore his pec on Monday.
Yeah, most likely tore his pec. No, I think that's about it. Christian Kurtz expected to be back week 3. You guys re-signed Cam Akers. Jaden Reed's out for a while, a couple weeks.
That happened Thursday, so that kind of just flew. Yeah, Jaden Reed broke his collarbone, not even the issue he's been dealing with, on a diving touchdown, which was called back on a offensive penalty. So he will be out, which helps in terms of the Packers fantasy room. Matthew Golden hasn't done a heck of a lot. I think this gives a little more confidence in him that he's going to start seeing a little more targets, but I think the biggest beneficiaries are going to be Tucker Kraft and Romeo Doubs.
Yep.
Especially Tucker Kraft, who had a incredible week on Thursday.
Mondo week.
Jaden Daniels also a little banged up. He had an MRI, so keep an eye on
day to day.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, his status for Sunday is in question. He might not be out there, and if he's not, it'll be Mariota. But Jaden Reed, though, did get his foot surgically operated on and his shoulder.
So he's out. Might as well get taken care of.
Exactly. So I think this is actually, in the long run, better for him. I don't think he's going to be any bit of a fantasy relevant per se, but it's good for him that he's able to sit, rest up, got his foot operated on, got his shoulder fixed up. So hopefully he just comes back, and it's looking like Green Bay is going to make a deep playoff run, so he'll be back for that.
Mike Tomlin announced today that Caleb Johnson will not be returning kicks next week.
Oh, damn. I seen a report earlier that he probably would be. Probably being in quotations.
Won't be returning kickoffs in short term after the little week 2 flub up. If you haven't seen that, Caleb Johnson he either hit it or went through his hands, and instead of going to the ball, he let it roll into the end zone and kind of walked off the field, and Seattle recovered it for a touchdown. So
yeah, free touchdown for Seattle. It's nice. But that's a huge error for a rookie. Like, if you're going to be out there doing kickoffs, at least know all the rules. Like, make it look like you know what you're doing out there. At least it's going to be a long time for this kid to see the field, dude. It's not looking bright right now.
Yeah, for fantasy relevance, you can move on from Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's honestly a rough go for a majority of the high end rookie running backs. Gentry's been off to a slow start.
Yep, Hampton.
Mario Hampton hasn't been ideal. Travion Henderson got way outperformed this week by Ramondre. Ramondre looked good. He had a bunch of catches, heavily used in the run game. Caleb Johnson hasn't been used at all. It's insane, dude. It's weird, man.
Yeah, but Quinshon Judkins scored a touchdown. Right?
I don't think he scored, did he? No. I know he led the team in carries, though. Right off the bat, he had like 10 carries, led the team. He had like 60 yards, I believe. So that was crazy to me, because I would have for sure thought Samson still would have been the lead back.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, Samson scored the touchdown. Yeah, he had a receiving touchdown. That's what it was.
And then Cedric Tillman had one of the craziest touchdowns I've seen.
Yeah, 10 for 61 for Quinshon Judkins. Yeah, the rookies. And that goes to show, as excited as we are for those guys, and
they're just not ready. Yeah,
but yeah, it is a time, consuming situation. Unless you're Teterow McMillan, who's setting records for most catches in his first 2 games or something like that. Okay. Do we want to start with the prospect, since we're talking about future rookies?
Sure.
All right. Prospect Spotlight Series. What this is essentially, for those that are new, these are just guys we're going to be talking about who have, NFL potential and are just like, starting to, rise up in the college spotlight or kind of have been known commodities in college football and they're, either, performing and moving up draft stock wise or guys in Nick's case that we're going to keep an eye on for the future. So I'll start. It's a guy who we talked about in our summer scouting series. It is Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, Washington State transfer. Is a guy who I was really excited coming into summer scouting. The way he plays is a ball on fire. He is the most fun tape to watch out of all the quarterbacks because he is a wild man out there. He's got a little Josh Allen to him, a little Baker Mayfield to him. He's relentless. He's so much fun. He plays with just this behavior where nothing phases him. And at Washington State last year, he had a 65% completion percentage, 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He also had 800 yards on the ground and another 15 touchdowns. He led the FBS in total touchdowns last year. And he didn't really play anybody. Washington State competition level wasn't big. So he transfers to Oklahoma, SEC. He's going to play the big schools, and he had a test week 2 against Michigan. And he went out, and he balled out. He had an incredible game against the Michigan Wolverines, who have one of the best defenses in college football. But so far this year, he's got 944 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. You'd like to see that go down, but he's also got an additional 161 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. So he's got 9 touchdowns already on the year. He's got Oklahoma rolling, and as they're starting to get to their SEC play, we're going to see what this kid's made of. But I'm at the point where, I know we worry about the throwing motion, all that stuff, but guess who else had throwing motion issues and wasn't your prototypical stance quarterback with footwork and all that stuff, and he kind of had a wonky throw? It was Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes, maybe as a scouting evaluator, you got to kind of shy away from just focusing on mechanics and just be like, this guy's just a really good football player. And that's how I feel about John Mateer. I think outside of Garrett Nussmeier, this is the best quarterback coming into the class. I like him more than Klubnik, who's struggling this year. I like him more than Aller. Nussmeier's on a different planet to me. He's far away QB1 and should be the first pick come April, bearing any sort of issue. But I think John Mateer brings this excitement. I'm willing to take the shot on him that he just turned into a franchise guy. And he's so much fun. He gives you rushing ability. He could be Jalen Hurts at the next level. He could be Josh Allen. At worst, he could be Baker Mayfield, which Baker's been playing at a top 10 level here the last 2-3 years. So he could be a dud, obviously. That's a world for all quarterbacks, but I think his upside is better than every quarterback not named Garrett Nussmeier. And I even think he gives you a ceiling that Nussmeier can't necessarily reach because Nussmeier's not much of a runner. So what Mateer brings to the table is just, he's efficient to his experience. He's played football and he looks good. He's competitive. He's got great leadership. He could sling the ball with the best of them. He gives you so much big play potential, not just with his arm, but with his legs. Like I said, the dual threat ability, the footwork and mechanics, sure, it's a problem, but that stuff can be fixed. And sometimes if you're just a really good football player, you don't worry about that stuff. It's stuff he overcomes. So I'm in on John Mateer. This is going to be a guy, unless the world falls apart once he starts playing the SEC teams, that I'm going to be having in first rounds of my mocks, and I'm just going to push as a top 10 prospect in this class.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very interested to see how the quarterback board falls come later in the season. Obviously, when the draft steam starts to roll up, because man, oh man, I got my eyes on a quarterback, and he's been killing it. It's Carson Beck, baby. Miami boy. But
I think we just got to study Miami's offensive coordinator, who's just turned around insane, Cam Ward. Now he's turning around Carson Beck. Maybe he's got a head coaching job coming up here in college football. For sure. But yeah, Carson Beck's playing well. But yeah, the quarterback board. But for me, it is locked in as Nussmeier and Mateer as my top 2, and then a scramble after that.
Are you not counting Sellers because you don't think he's going to come out?
I don't think Sellers is going to come out, and
okay.
He's got trait. His traits are better than everybody's. Yeah. And it shows. South Carolina, he he missed last week. He got knocked out of the
He got
game,
hurt,
and
yeah.
that is truly a one-man team there. Like Nick Harbor and the other weapons on offense, they're fine, and they have potential to be NFL superstars. The defense isn't where it was last year, but Sellers went out, and Vanderbilt just mollywopped them.
That team only is going to go as far as Sellers goes. That's how it's going to go this year.
But no, I don't think Sellers comes out. But
I agree.
If he does, he would just be my QB3 just based off lack of experience, but would have the highest upside more so than Nussmeier and Mateer.
Understandable. All right, my prospect is, like TJ brought up a little bit earlier, it's a kid that can't even come out this year. So it's most likely going to be a kid that we're talking about on this podcast for 2 years at this point, come 2027 draft. It's Ahmad Hardy, running back, Missouri. He's a transfer from Louisiana Monroe. As a freshman with Monroe, he led the Sun Belt in attempts, yards, and touchdowns as a freshman. He had 237 attempts for 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns in 12 games. So that's more touchdowns than games even played as a freshman. And then he transferred to the SEC this year. And obviously, way better competition in the SEC when you got teams like Alabama, LSU, powerhouse schools. Oh, and in 3 games, he leads the SEC in rushing yards. He has 462 yards, 5 touchdowns, 8 yards a carry in 3 games. Dude, he's blowing up the SEC. So in his college career, he's played in 15 total games. He's scored in 13 of those. That's insane. That's a touchdown almost every single game. 11 of those 15 games have been over 100 yards on the ground. He's only 19. He'll be 20 this year. He's 5'10", 6. He's 5'10", 210. So he's a little undersized. I like my running backs around 215. But at the end of the day, he's only 19. He could put on another 5-10 pounds. He's got the frame for it. He's blowing up the SEC this year as a sophomore, so he can't come out. So I'm very interested to be talking about this kid next year. If he keeps up this progress, he could easily push early day 2. And if he blows up, man, maybe we're working at a day 1 running back if it continues, because his freshman year was out of this world, transfers to the biggest conference in college, and he's already leading them in rushing yards. So Ahmed Hardy, running back, Missouri, my first prospect shot out this year, and it's a kid that can't even come out, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. And 5 of their next 6 games, we'll see it. SEC play. He's got South Carolina this week. We got Alabama in a couple weeks, Auburn, Vandy, Texas A&M. So we'll see what he's got. And if he comes out here and he performs against these SEC schools, which SEC had, they're constantly the highest drafted conference in the NFL draft. They had more players drafted last year than any conference has ever had in NFL history, with almost 80 players taken in the 7 rounds of the NFL draft. So if he comes out here and he puts up these numbers against those big schools, we're talking about a guy going into next year who probably does come out, because running backs, you really don't want them staying in college too long, especially if they're playing at a level like the SEC. So we could be looking at a 2nd round, 3rd round, maybe even a 1st round pick in 2027. So I like that. Missouri, they run the ball. When you brought him up to me before we recorded, I was just like, yeah, they had another running back rush for 100+ yards 2 weeks ago, and a different running back, their 3rd stringer, had 100 yards this week. So this is a team that loves to run the ball. Their quarterback also runs. Bew Prubula, Penn State transfer. He can run it too. Like, this is a team. We'll see. We'll see what they got come here. SEC plays. It's one of the toughest conferences, deep conference. So I'm excited to see how they perform there going forward.
For sure. And as a freshman at Louisiana Monroe, he played the number 1 ranked team, Texas. He didn't have a great game, but it's his 3rd ever game. And then later in that season, he played Auburn, who is a powerhouse in college. He had 60 yards on the ground, and he scored in that game. So he scored as a freshman versus Auburn. I'm really intrigued to see how he can handle some SEC competition this year. Last week, he had like 250 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. The 2 games before that, each 100 yards on the ground. So he's a workhorse back in a team that loves to run the ball. I'm really excited to see if he's able to pull out a couple 100-yard games for some powerhouse schools.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where Missouri stands going forward here. But yeah.
They're undefeated right now, 3-0. Pretty good start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get into players of the week, and then we'll do the players of the week, WEAK. Puns. That's what we got here at the Drafted Up
That's
podcast.
what we got here. We got puns.
We got puns, baby. QB1 on the week, he went Goff. Jared Goff. 5 touchdowns for Jared Goff this
Insane
week against
game.
the Bears. Statement game for the Lions. You know, Ben Johnson and crew come to town, and they were just like, we're gonna you can put away the questions of the offense that sputtered out week 1, and they came out, showed up week 2 against Ben Johnson. So Jared Goff, if you started him, kudos to you, because I was out.
A lot of people were out, and I get it. I was out too. I told in our home week, I told our buddy who has Goff, I'm like, I wouldn't play him, dude. He's got a quarterback over him. He had Herbert. I'd play Herbert because this guy's weird. He drafted a bunch of quarterbacks. And I would honestly still play Herbert over Goff, but these are the games you get with Jared Goff. He's going to go out there and score a ton of points. Oh, and by the way, I did guarantee that Montgomery touchdown, which did happen. Let's go. But 5 touchdowns through the air is insane. And Amon-Ra ate up a bunch, and J-Mo had a nice little game. They just showed up with their hot new girlfriend, and they're like, hey, man, by the way, look at this. We don't need Ben Johnson. We got this guy. And they scored 50 points. And I'm like, geez. Insane week for Detroit.
All gas, no brakes there for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Rounding out the top 5, Russell Wilson.
Let's go.
New York Giants.
450 yards, baby.
Yeah, Lamar, Bryce Young, and Drake May, they rounded out the top 5 for quarterbacks this past week. And Russ, 450 yards in a game they should have won. They had that deep touchdown to Neighbors that should have won the game.
Beautiful pass, yeah.
And then the Giants defense blew it, and Brandon Aubrey saved the game for the Cowboys, and then won it for him in overtime. That guy's their best player.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey is a freak. I was watching the game, obviously, a Giants fan. And the second the ball got off the ground, if the ball is in the air, it's almost a make every time for Aubrey. So I knew it was going in. It just sucks, man. But we should have had it. But I'm not expecting wins, man. But I do have to say this. Stop putting Jackson Dart in for dumb RPO plays that aren't going to work. We ran 3 RPOs with Jackson Dart. It's not needed. The defense obviously knew they were going to be RPOs come the second time, the third time. It was all the same exact play. It doesn't change anything. He's not ready to come in behind this offensive line. Just stop putting him in. Just let Russ cook. And I think Russ having this game is the best thing for Jackson Dart. Because if Russ came out and shit the bed again, everyone would have been calling for Jackson Dart. He's not ready. Let Russ just play out as long as possible. Dart will be in at some point. There is no rush to get this kid on the field.
Yeah. In regards to the Dart stuff, like if you're going to do that, they should have done it week 1 when Russ played like shit and the offense was sputtering. Maybe Jackson Dart gives a spark, but this game, the Giants offense was running full steam and working. And if anything, that just slows down the momentum there.
That's what I didn't understand. They just came in and they just seemed like stalls. They were stopping drives. Like Russ was actually cooking. Like it's been years since Russ looked like this. His deep ball was on a line every single time. Wandale had as many catches over 20 yards in this game as he's had in his whole career. Neighbors was cooking. Slayton had a deep bomb. Like, let Russ do what he's going to do. And hopefully the offense plays this way for the rest of the year. I don't think it's going to happen. But just go out there and just let him chuck the ball. Who cares at the end of the day how many turnovers he has? Just let him be Jameis Winston. That's what I want.
Now, the Eagles offense didn't do this against the Cowboys defense. And then the Eagles offense also didn't really pass the ball against the Chiefs. So we were maybe thinking like of the Cowboys defense better than we thought, but then the Giants, who historically one of the worst offenses, come out and do this, that maybe we should be targeting the Cowboys defense in terms of quarterbacks, receiver play going forward. And we'll see. Maybe that is more of a, we should be worried about the Eagles passing game going forward than that they weren't able to do this against the Cowboys. Obviously, it's only 2 weeks in, so we're compiling still data and all this stuff, but that's something to keep an eye on, that maybe the Eagles passing game is not going to be as effective.
Yeah, I don't think at the end of the day it's that Philly couldn't do it. It's that they didn't need to do it. Philly's 0-2, and Jalen Hurts has like 2 passes.
2-0.
That's what, 2-0. And Jalen Hurts has 2 passes over like 10 yards. They're not going to be passing a bunch this year, and it's going to be that way. It's going to be disgusting for fantasy.
Yep. Here's a hot take. I don't want to watch the Eagles play football. They're now the Chiefs. It's just boring football where it's just efficient, close games that they're going to win, and it's just not fun to watch.
It's like watching Army or Navy or one of those college teams plays that just runs the ball 40 times a game, and that's what you're going to get with Philly.
Yep.
Their offensive line and the way Jalen Hurts plays football and Saquon Barkley are so good, they're not going to need the pass for most of their games this season.
Yeah. I'm dreading, and same with the Chiefs. Like, I just don't. The Chiefs are still playing Chiefs football, and it's not a good watch. Stop putting them in slots where I have to watch them play. Put them at 1 o'clock where there's more games that I can shy away from them.
They're going to keep putting the Eagles there. The Chiefs might start taking a hit.
Sunday Night Football, Chiefs-Giants this week.
I know. I'm thrilled to watch my team in primetime versus the Chiefs. I am not excited at all.
Hey, we'll see. The Chiefs play close games. So, Lamar Jackson, 4 touchdowns, superstar. Ravens mopped the Cleveland Browns. Bryce Young, he's up there, but
the score does look bad. Cleveland hung in that game way longer than anyone thought they'd hang in that game. That game was pretty close in like the middle of the third. And then Baltimore was like, oh, hey, by the way, we're Baltimore.
Yeah. Harbaugh has no problems just, putting up points after the fact where games are over, where it's like Buffalo doesn't usually do that. Whereas like Josh Allen, they have the lead. They just kind of shut down Josh Allen passing the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas
they coast.
Harbaugh with Lamar, he's just like, go out there, sling it. I don't fucking care. And, 4 touchdowns for him later. And Bryce Young, he threw the ball 55 times, and that got him on this list. 3 touchdowns, 328 games. Great for fantasy. You probably didn't, unless you're in a 2-quarterback league, starting 2 QBs, Bryce Young was not in your lineup. But monitor going forward, because Carolina's defense is abysmal, and there might be a chance that Bryce Young is playing a lot of garbage time, and this is just, he's just stat padding, and that can be good for football, where Bryce Young kind of just has viable spot starts here and there.
Yeah, that team is not looking good, being Carolina.
Yeah. And Drake May, he rounded out the top 5. He had a rushing touchdown and another 2 through the air as the Patriots got the win over the Dolphins. But Drake May with the rushing upside, I'm glad they're letting him run a little bit more. And, it's going to be tough sledding to find offensive pieces for New England, fantasy-wise, to start. There's going to be weeks where Ramondre, he did what he did this week. He had that 60-yard catch. He found the end zone as well, I believe. But then, like, Kayshon Boutte, who had a nice week last week, he had 1 catch and it was a touchdown. Stephon Diggs hasn't been overly involved here, and Kyle Williams, who I loved coming out, he's a rookie. Again, time. It's going to take him a while to get out there. So in New England, it might only be Drake May and the running backs that you can start right now. Even Hunter Henry's going to have weeks. Like, he only had 1 catch this week as well.
Yeah, we also have to remember that Diggs was possible to not even start the season. He might have started the season on PUP. Week 1, his snap percentage was like 50 or something like that, and then this week it went up to near 60. So if Steph Diggs is able to keep getting on the field more and more, and he had more catches than Boutte this week, he didn't week 1, and I get Boutte still had the touchdown again this week, but he only had 1 target, and it was the touchdown. It was a beautiful catch, but I'm still willing to give Diggs some times here. I'm not starting him, but I'm still holding Diggs for another 2 weeks to see if he starts getting a rapport with Drake May. Because once he does, I think it's going to actually start cooking.
Yeah. And that was my concern with Diggs as well going in. That was going to take a while for him to get involved here. Some other names in the top 10: Mac Jones, Spencer Rattler, Daniel Jones. What a world!
Danny Jones
It's week
has
2.
been there 2 weeks in a row, and the Colts are the first team in
touchdowns on the goal line
Super
as
Bowl
well.
history. Yeah, the Colts still haven't punted through 2 weeks, and they're just getting into plus territory. They're getting field goals. They're getting touchdowns. Danny Jones is making good throws too. Like, he's dropping back. He's stepping up into the pocket. It's quite the world what is going on in Indianapolis.
The Colts, you guys know if you've been listening, as a team I was not high on. Daniel Jones has been playing really good football. Shane Steichen, who I like as a coach, I just didn't think the pieces were there for them to do this, and they've played really good football here. They're 2-0. I would love John Mateer with Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. And Mateer, where he's going right now in mocks, he's kind of in that middle of the late first round. Sometimes some people don't even have him as a first round guy yet. So, like, there's a possibility where, John Mateer could be an Indianapolis Colt, and that's kind of spicy. I like that because he could sit a year behind Daniel Jones too, and whatnot. But Spencer Rattler, Kellen Moore's got him playing decent football. He looks 100 times better than he did.
They're playing so fast
as a rookie. Yeah,
he doesn't have time to process his mistakes. He's actually looking surprisingly decent. Not like good or anything, but he deserves credit that he has looked better than anyone thought Spencer Rattler would look.
Mac Jones, I also kind of hold him in a spot start category as long as he's there for San Francisco. He did this last year in Jacksonville as well.
Bad in the first quarter. Like, he didn't even look like a football player. And then it all just like clicked. He was out there and it was all like, oh, hey, by the way, I got to start completing passes. And once it clicked, he actually looked good.
Yeah. We saw when Mac Jones, when you just kind of let him sling it and he gets a little comfortable out there, let him be nonchalant, he could put up numbers for fantasy, and he had 3 touchdowns this week. Bo Nix also had a good bounce back week as well. So that was good to see. He had another 3 touchdowns for the Broncos in a losing effort. Anyone else there that you want to chat about?
No, I think that's about it. Herbert's still been consistent. Mayfield, Mahomes has been fine.
Yeah,
it's not a great week for streaming quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'll hear about some of the bigger names in the players of the week, but those will come and go. Running back, Jonathan Taylor, number 1 RB on the week. James Cook was 2, Devon Achane 3. Javonte Williams finds his way into the top 5 again. He was RB4, and Christian McCaffrey rounding out the top 5. McCaffrey, 7 targets, so he did it again through the air, 6 grabs, 52 yards. He did get into the end zone, had another 50 on the ground. He's just doing the combination of 100 total yards, 120 total yards. And if he's getting in the end zone, obviously top 5 running back every week. Javonte, same, he's just fine in the end zone here in Dallas. 3 touchdowns through 2 games.
He also had a bunch of receiving work versus the Giants in week 2. He had 6 catches. Yep. If they're willing to keep doing that, dude, I think Javonte is a near lock at this point in lineups.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to say.
Speaking of getting catches, Devon Achane, 10 targets, 8 for 92. He had a touchdown.
Thank God he got those, dude.
On the ground. Yeah, because only 30 yards on 11 carries. James Cook, the opposite. He had all of his on the ground, 132 yards, another 2 touchdowns. He's cooking. He's getting in the end zone again. Like, he's like, 3-4 touchdowns already this year for James Cook. And then Jonathan Taylor, he did get a receiving touchdown, which is nice to see. 165 yards on the ground. Would have loved to have that goal line touchdown if you were a Johnny Taylor owner. But Daniel Jones sniped that from him. But Jonathan Taylor still, he's got the juice here. 165 yards, 50 yards on the through the air with that touchdown. And then Ramondre Stevenson, he was in the top 10. Bijan, Ken Walker, the flip here for Seattle. Last week, week 1, it was Charbonnet, and now this week Charbonnet only had like 12 carries for 11 yards, and Ken Walker 105 and a touchdown. I think Pittsburgh, they're going to be our run funnel. Whoever's playing Pittsburgh, you're going to want to start that running back. So that's Ramondre Stevenson this week, and Travion Henderson and crew in New England.
They didn't change up anything though. Like, Zach Charbonnet was still out there for more percentage of the snaps. He was out there for 50%. Walker was only out there for 35, which was less than he was out there for week 1. I think it's gonna be like that all year. I think Charbonnet's gonna be out there more, but if Ken Walker, he's super explosive. If he can make do with the limited carries he's given, he's gonna have Mondo weeks. But like, it's gonna be such a bumpy road.
Then Charbonnet, despite being out there less, and like we said, like he needed to rip one off, and he did. He had a nice little chunk run there, but it was good to see good to see that he still has some juice there for the Seattle Seahawks. But yeah, it is going to be a bumpy road for the Seahawks running back crew. Jahmyr Gibbs,
I would
saw it on the ground
Walker.
this week.
I would take Walker over Charbonnet still going forward.
More juice, yeah. There's more big playability. Like Charbonnet to get like 105, 110, 115 yards, you're going to need 20, 25 carries, where Walker can do that in 10 to 15.
Yeah. If you're splitting this 50-50, it's not going to go Charbonnet's favor at all fantasy-wise.
Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs was inefficient on the ground week 1. This week, 12 for 94 and a touchdown. David Montgomery, you brought it up. He scored a touchdown, which you guaranteed this week.
Indeed. Wasn't anything pretty, but he scored like 50-some yards.
Jacksonville, your start of the week, ETN had a receiving touchdown, 14 for 71. Bashal Tutin was involved. He had a receiving touchdown as well. He had 2 grabs for 32 yards and a touchdown. Yep, it looks like he is going to find his way in. He had 8 carries for 42 yards. Boot scootin' tootin'. So if he is available in your league, you should go snag him up.
For sure.
Put a little fab on Bashal Tutin. Anyone else through that group worth talking about?
Nick Chubb had a nice little week. I seen he got in the end zone this week, which is kind of cool. It was on a nice little run. Still wasn't super efficient, 12 for 40. But he had 2 catches for 30 yards, which is kind of nice. It's a little bonus for Nick Chubb. You're not going to get that every week. But the touchdown run was nice. It was a nice 20-yard run, and he looked like Nick Chubb on that run. So hopefully throughout the season, 100%. It's no one else's. Yeah. It's Chubb's backfield. And hopefully he just is able to be a little bit more consistent going forward. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Wide receivers, top 5 plays. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 touchdowns, 11 for 115, or 11 targets, crazy 9 week. Grabs for 115. Malik Neighbors, 9 for 167 and 2. Jamar Chase, you brought up the 16 targets, 14 for 165 and 2. Roma Dunze, he seems to be the number 1 target here for Chicago. 7 grabs, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Wan'Dale Robinson, rounding out the top 5 with 8 grabs for 142 and 1. And then you got a wild group of names. Puka Nacua, there's a name you're used to seeing up there. Troy Franklin, Hunter Renfrow, and then Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb rounding out the top 10. Deebo Samuel is a name I kind of want to bring up. He's 2 great weeks in a row here for the Washington Commanders, and this week on Thursday, that touchdown was a garbage time touchdown, but hey, touchdowns are touchdowns.
Points are points.
You're going to take it. Yeah, so, 7 for 77, week 1. This week, 7 for 44 and the touchdown. And they're using him, and as McLaren kind of gets back into football shape, Deebo Samuel is a name to keep an eye on. Like, maybe he is better. He has a rushing touchdown as well, week 1. So yeah, Deebo might be a flex play going forward here for the Washington Commanders.
For sure, I would say he is. Just the way they play football with around the line of scrimmage, short yardage stuff. And I think that's why Zach Ertz is so efficient in this offense as well. It's those 2 guys are just really, really good in the 5 to 10 yard range. Oh yeah, for sure. It's just that these guys are they're so clean, and they run clean routes. Their hands are great. They're just their football IQ is off the charts in the 5 to 15 range from the quarterback. It's stupid that we didn't question it more that Deebo was going to have a good year. I get he didn't look great, But with everything that the Commanders do, Debo is the perfect receiver for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Mateo McLaren, they're just so offset each other. It's so nice.
Yeah. Jackson Smith and Jigba, again, PPR machine.
Yeah.
8 for 103 there for Seattle. Also give a shout out to Quentin Johnston. 3 for 71 and a touchdown. Found the end zone again. He's looking like a nice play going forward here for the Chargers.
All three of their receivers have just been so good, and Herbert's been able to maintain 3 wide receivers as fantasy options. And I think it's because the way Ladd and Keenan run routes that you really have to watch those guys carefully, that is allowing Quinyon Johnson just to take the tops off defenses. Because how are you watching these 3 guys while also focusing on the run? Because Hardball's going to want to run the ball with Hampton and Najee, which is going to happen more and more over the season. This offense is really good, and their defense is really good, and this is why I love the Chargers to win this division.
Yeah, and Juwan Jennings, who ended up playing well, 5 for 89, and a touchdown for the Mac Jones-led 49ers. Anyone else here? Keenan Allen? Not Keenan Allen. You talked about him. Tyreek Hill had 100 yards.
Tyreek Hill, yeah.
Jalen Waddle, 6 for 68 and a touchdown. So it was good to see 2 guys who we were very out on perform well. And that's going to be the case for the Dolphins all year. If Tua and the offense can move the ball, those guys will be fine. But if they get into a situation where Tua's pressured, that team will go as far as Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, for sure. And they looked so much better this week than they looked in week 1. They actually moved the ball through the air. Tyreek had a nice little game. Waddle had a beautiful touchdown catch. Eric Ayumaner is a guy I want to shout out quick from Tennessee. He had a touchdown. Cam Ward looks his way a bunch. 7 targets week 1, 6 targets week 2. He brought in 4 this week for 56 and a tutty.
He had a nice little deep catch. I saw that.
Yeah, I get Calvin Ridley still the one, but man, oh man, I don't know. Come the end of the season, it wouldn't surprise me if Ayumaner's seeing more targets than Calvin Ridley is.
Yeah, he's another guy. If he's not rostered, pick him up, stash him on your bench.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right, tight ends. Tucker Kraft, we brought him up earlier. 7 targets, 6 grabs for 124 and a touchdown on Thursday. Zach Ertz was tight end 2, also on Thursday. 6 for 64 and a touchdown. It's back-to-back weeks. Ertz has found the end zone. Jake Ferguson involved in Dallas here week 2. 9 for 78, no touchdown though. Your start of the week, Juwan Johnson, 5 for 49 and a touchdown. And then Trey McBride rounds out the top 5 for 6 for 78 there. And then Tyler Warren looking like a stud, 4 for 79. Could be a boat. So far is a boat.
That man is a boat.
And then Jatavian Sanders, Brock Wright, AJ Barner, Travis Kelce rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Brock Wright and AJ Barner, guys like that. Adam Troutman's a little out of the top 10. They're not really, should even be on rosters, to be honest. But it's really nice to see Jake Ferguson have a nice week. He had a bunch of targets week 1. He missed a touchdown opportunity. Week 2, Mondo reception, 9 receptions, almost 80 yards. I'm really happy Juwan Johnson caught his touchdown pass. He had 2 really easy drops to start the game, and I was like, damn, that could have been really nice points. And then he makes one of the most beautiful touchdowns I've seen on the week. It was gorgeous in the end zone.
Story
back
of his
corner.
career.
Yeah, I think it's going to be this season. I honestly think he's going to be near a top 5 tight end. And of course, Trey McBride rounds out the top 5. Sucks he doesn't get in the end zone. Typical Trey McBride, dumb shit, but a huge week like always. 8 catches, was it right? 8? No, 6 for 80.
Yeah.
I see Jontavius Sanders is right there, almost in the top 5, but Carolina's not going to pass the ball 55 times a game, so I don't think he's going to consistently be there. But he is one of those young tight ends we brought up constantly throughout the offseason that, hey, just keep an eye on him. He's a young, athletic tight end in an offense that doesn't have a ton of good options. Like, they have a bunch of options, but how good are they?
Xavier Legette had 8 targets, and he had -2 yards.
That guy has looked atrocious over the first 2 weeks of this year. So
Shame.
I'm really worried about him going forward, for sure.
Yeah, but Brock Wright, AJ Barner, they're only in the top 10 here because they got into the end zone. They're not names to keep an eye on. Howard Fannin was a little top 12. 5 targets, though, and caught all 5 for 48, so still involved here. Saw the same amount
Yeah,
of targets this week as David Njoku. So
that's 2 weeks in a row now. He's fantasy-wise outperformed Njoku. So I'm not going to say it's going to consistently happen, but this is going to happen a ton this season where just Harold Fannon's going to be on the field a bunch and he's going to see targets. So it sucks for David Njoku, I think, going forward. I'm not going to lie to you.
yeah. All right. Players of the week, WEAK. These are our duds. We had our Studley boys. Now we have our Dudley boys. Wrestling pun. I got them all today, baby.
Get the tables, baby.
Yeah. I'd like to put Justin Fields through a table. My start of the week.
Yeah, don't fucking tell me about it.
I even brought it up in the start of the week that Justin Fields could just go back to being Justin Fields and the Jets could go back to being the Jets, and they did. All the Jets. Duds this week.
This is like the most Justin Fields thing possible that has happened. Week 1 was statistically his greatest game he's ever had as a quarterback. Yeah. Like PFF grade. His PFF grade week 1 was his best grade ever. And then week 2, he's like, hey, I'm Justin Fields, by the way. Here's the lowest PFF grade I have in my whole career. He statistically had the best game he's ever had and then the worst game he's ever had. And I'm salty as hell because I started this guy in a ton of leagues this week.
Yeah, Justin,
he got me good.
3 for 11 for 27 yards through the air. 5 carries for 49 yards from Justin Fields. You know who had more fantasy points than Justin Fields this week? Dylan Gabriel.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Justin Fields, he might be the weakest of the plays of the week. J.J. McCarthy, also on that list. He played poorly. A lot of that could have been the line, but he looked rattled. Who knows when the injury happened, but he was moving around, 25 yards on the ground, so it was nice to see him running, but he just wasn't getting it going through the air, and the pressure got to him. He was 11 for 21 and 158. No touchdown for him.
I believe the ankle injury happened in the third. I think I seen the play happen on Twitter this morning. Someone posted about it. But he gets up, he kind of limps, and he walks over to Kevin O'Connell, and they talk, and he looks pretty bummed. So I would assume it happened in the middle of the third.
Yeah. Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, you could put them on the list this week. They weren't, Jalen Hurts barely had over 100 passing yards. He thankfully found the end zone on a rushing touchdown, or else he would have been a tough play. Josh Allen, no touchdowns this week. He had 59 yards in the ground, only 148 through the air. You could probably put Kyler Murray. He's close. He kind of flutters between just middle ground to players of the week, but you probably started Kyler Murray, and he didn't look great. Was
mid for fantasy this week, but he was bad in real life.
Yeah.
Like real life football, Kyler Murray was bad. And quick on Jalen Hurts, he only has 250 passing yards on the season. Russell Wilson had 450 passing yards last week. What's going on in Philly's passing game is really concerning for fantasy football because they're 2-0. This isn't going to change. What they are doing, the way they are playing football, is the way they are going to play football until they are proven that they can't play football like that anymore. So keep an eye out on Jalen Hurts if he's not getting any passing touchdown. He has 0 passing touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, they're going to lose that tush push soon, too. I'm calling it.
This is the last year of the tush push. What happened with Kansas City, the way they ran it so much, I love the tush push. I'm an avid defender. They are making it really hard last week to defend that play because they false start.
Yep, they were false starting. They were lining up in the neutral zone, so they weren't even aligned properly. So yeah, it was some finicky stuff there for the Eagles. Running backs, players of the week. James Conner, only 11 for 34. He thankfully got into the end zone there. Tony Pollard, 20 for 92. No touchdown, no catches. Chase Brown, my start of the week, 47 yards, 2 for 18 through the area. Ashton Jeanty, again, this 11 for 43. He did not get into the end zone. He had 3 catches for 1 yard. Amarian Hampton, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, the rookie backs, just weren't getting it done. We already brought up Breece Hall and the Jets. Like, that team as a whole, the Minnesota running backs, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, this week also just underperformed, just as the Vikings offense as a whole. Yeah, a lot of tough plays for the running back position when Zamir White's outscoring RJ Harvey and Breece Hall and Jordan Mason.
The Raiders running back situation's weird, man.
Pacheco, gotta bring him up too.
Yeah, for sure. We still have other guys to bring up, but like the Raiders running back, they were running a 2-minute drill without Genty. Dylan Lowby was out there. Zamir White was out there. Not a bunch, but way more than I would ever think Zamir White should be on a football field. Genty can't pass block to save his life right now, so he's not going to be on the field when they're. I don't know, man. It's like I'm not worried about Genty, but I didn't expect it to be this way for any of these rookie running backs.
Yeah, we were in on all of them. Like, especially like Hampton and Henderson, like we were higher on them than expectation. Yeah. They just haven't performed. Same with Caleb Johnson, it's going to be tough for him to find the field, like we brought up at the beginning of the episode. Isaiah Pacheco, like how worried are you about the Chiefs backfield as a whole? Like Kareem Hunt's not exactly efficient either. So like, no. I don't understand the Pacheco usage when, going into the season, like it just seemed like, hey, Pacheco's healthy. He's the guy. And 10
the
for
talks
22
were so
this
positive. Week. Like the camp talk about Pacheco was Pacheco looks good. He looks like he's back to Pacheco. He's running hard. He's running fast. No, he looks like he's still hurt Pacheco. I don't know what's going on with Pacheco. Kareem Hunt's not good at all. You brought up the Phillies boring to watch. The Chiefs are just a bad offense. Like Kelsey doesn't look great. There's no wide receivers that I want to watch. Yeah. The run game is abysmal. It's not even.
They need Worthy and Rice bad, and Worthy should be back this week for week 3.
Yes, and Worthy might be back this week.
Rice will be back after his suspension, but like they need something because this offense has zero juice.
Yeah, like Hollywood was a letdown. We'll get to him, and then
Mahomes is just running for his life.
Yeah, and that's what's keeping his fantasy value like afloat this season. Like, Mahomes is running. He had like 60 yards on the ground this week. It's going to keep happening this way if they have no run game. Mahomes is going to be their leading rusher, which is really bad. We have to shout out Derrick Henry in bad players this week.
Yep, that was he
was crazy bad. Probably the biggest letdown of this week running back wise.
He had that the week before where he was the greatest player on earth, and then he follows it up with 11 for 23. As many points as Aaron Jones, who, like I said, the Vikings running backs disappointment. Zach Charbonnet, Bill Krosky Merritt, also some down weeks for those two guys.
I also don't want to really blame it on Derrick Henry, obviously, because he's Derrick Henry, but Cleveland has a really good defense. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard to run on Cleveland in general. And with how good their front four is, Derrick Henry's a guy that needs to get that steam build up right before he hits that front four. It's not going to happen when you play Cleveland. They're just a really good defense.
Yeah. And Lamar,
you brought up, you're good.
I was going to say Lamar was super efficient through the air. Why shy away from that?
Yeah, exactly. If Lamar's cooking through the pass game, just go with that. You brought up Bill Krosky Merritt. We haven't brought up Eckler. He tore his Achilles. He's out for the year.
Probably out forever. I don't think I was going to say ends up playing.
It's probably again. The last snap we've seen from Eckler. So it was sad watching. I seen it live. I'm sure most people did. Was the Thursday night game. It was rough, dude. And you seen it on his face instantly that he was done. He walked off.
And there was some positive. Like, he didn't get carted off. He walked to the sideline, but then he got carted to the back from the sideline.
I think that's how you know it's his last game. He wanted to walk off the field his last time, not get carted off. I think it was an ego thing, and I respect the hell out of Eckler. And if it is his last snaps, man, he was a fantasy god for many years, and he loves the game. He loves fantasy. So shout out Austin Eckler. He deserves his flowers. A little golden goat when it comes to fucking fantasy football, dude, for sure.
Yeah. Receivers. I think we could just name this award after Brian Thomas Jr. and A.J. Brown at this point. They've both
Which one do you think's a bigger letdown this year? I'm saying BTJ. I'm not blaming AJ Brown. The offense isn't built for passing.
Yeah,
Brian Thomas has so many targets, and he has like 4 catches.
But I'd still rather Brian Thomas Jr. going forward for fantasy.
But yeah, it's because he's in an offense that passes.
Yeah, he is getting those targets. But like Trevor Lawrence's passer rating to Brian Thomas Jr. was lower than anybody else on the team. Like, for whatever reason, like the chemistry's not there between them two, and then Lawrence was shaking off Liam Cohen, where he was telling him, like, hit him in the chest, throw the ball to his chest, and Trevor Lawrence is like waving him off. So that could be a tumultuous relationship going forward.
Trevor Lawrence has bad vibes, brother.
Yeah,
for a guy that has like surfer hippie vibes, man, I usually like those vibes. Your vibes coming out of Jacksonville, Mr. Trevor Lawrence, are bad.
Yeah,
especially when I'm choosing the vibes over your head coach. Duval.
Yeah. And
if your coach is telling you to put a ball on that man's fucking chest, you put that ball on that man's chest. First off, that's where the ball should be going. Hit the receiver in the numbers. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback, dude.
Yeah, and he also, Brian Thomas Jr., though, he was going across the middle and he alligator armed too, and he was like afraid of contact. So I don't know what that was about there for my dude.
It happened a couple times. But it happened a couple times.
The light of the light at the end of the tunnel, though, is the fact that he has 19 targets through these 2 games. So hopefully there is some rapport going there. But AJ Brown, like, the Eagles just aren't passing enough that like both of those guys, Brown and Devontae Smith, you could throw Travis Hunter in this group as well. He had a tough fantasy day as well. So like,
we kind of seen the Travis Hunter thing coming because we thought he was going to be needed more on defense in that outing, and I think that's going to be around the way his season goes. Is that he's going to be on defense when he's needed more on defense, and then vice versa for offense. And I kind of think it kind of takes like the momentum out of his sails a little bit. Like, I get he did it in college, and I still want to see him do it for the rest of this year. But I don't know if his whole career is going to be that way. At some point, he might need to pick one side of the ball.
Yeah. I imagine as he gets older, we'll see a shift, and I imagine it's going to be offense, more money to be made over there. But it's a cool talent, and it's good to see that. Great. Like it's phenomenal. Team like Jacksonville's actually giving him the opportunity to do so. Garrett Wilson, already brought him up. Jets. Yeah, bad week across the board.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, who had such a good week 1. The Bills just didn't pass the ball enough. They didn't need to. Like they got up early on the Jets, and James Cook did all the work, but Keon Coleman only 3 for 26 on his end. Drake London.
I think that's gonna be consistent with Keon Coleman. Like I'm really happy he had his week 1 because he showed everyone that he took the elevation, and he teared up in my eyes as a receiver. But the offense, he's not going to be needed consistently. The way the Bills play football, it's going to be sometimes Josh Allen running a whole bunch, James Cook having huge games. Like, James Cook looked great on Sunday. Keenan Allen, Keon Coleman brought in 3 catches. He was still used a little bit here and there, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be consistently every week.
Yep. It's going to be the case with him, and like Khalil Shakir only had 1 catch for 12 yards. There's going to be weeks where they're just not like Josh Palmer was their highest scoring fantasy receiver, and he had 7 PPR points. So
I would take Coleman over Khalil Shakir going forward.
Higher upside, touchdown upside as well. Drake London, tough week for him. 3 for 49, but Atlanta just couldn't get the ball. They weren't passing, and Bijan was doing everything, ripping apart Minnesota, and Drake London was also playing banged up. So keep it going, keep it monitor going forward, see how he performs. But the connection seems a little off here early on between him and Penix. Keyshawn Boutte and Calvin Austin, the hotness off the waivers. Keyshawn Boutte thankfully had the touchdown, only the 1 grab. Calvin Austin down week as well there. So we'll see if they bounce back from their week 1 big performances, followed up by a poor week 2. But we'll see what their performances going forward look like. Anyone else?
Marv.
Oh yeah, Marv and Cortland Sutton. I'm getting there.
Cortland Sutton's probably the biggest letdown receiver-wise for sure.
Yeah, 1 grab for 6 yards, but there was also a ton of penalties every time Bo Nix threw him the ball. But
they're getting called back.
Yeah, but Troy Franklin, he saw a ton of work there. Marvin Harrison, and these are going to be the games with Kyler Murray. They're just going to be frustrating games with the Cardinals passing offense. Michael Pittman and Hollywood Brown as well. Tough go rounds?
Where are you at with Marv? You still think he's the same guy that he was at Ohio State? You think he's that level of prospect still?
Yes, I do.
You think so?
I'm really out on Kyler Murray. I don't know if it's Kyler Murray or if it's just whoever's calling plays for Arizona. I just don't know what's going on there.
You think if you would put Malik Neighbors in that same exact situation, he doesn't have 1,000 yards in that offense?
No, I don't.
Oh, I completely disagree, dude. I really do. I think Marv is good. I don't think he's great.
I just don't trust the Cardinals' offense. And I think that I think that's more of the issue than Marvin Harrison. I think it's a organizational thing.
I think Marv's like I said. I think Marv's good. I don't think he's the generational prospect that everyone thought he was coming out. I think we would have seen way more glimpses of it with Kyler. Like Malik Neighbors has had nothing. He's had Danny Jones and Russell Wilson. His first year, he set records. This year, he's already had Mondo weeks. Marvin Harrison hasn't had a week like Neighbors had at all in his career.
Yeah, I don't know. The Cardinals, I don't know what Drew Petzig's doing there. I would love to see them get into a team where like they just want to sling the ball. And I just don't know if Kyler's that guy.
I get it. But yeah. I really do think if Malik Neighbors had Kyler as a quarterback, he'd still be able to get 1,000 yards. And I don't even think it'd be close.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I was kind of out on Kyler in the offseason. He not my cup of tea. Mike Evans, Lad McConkey, okay weeks, but
nothing crazy
more from them. Yeah. Jerry Jeudy, he's 8 targets. You love that, but 4 for 51 on his end in that cluttered passing game. Like Cedric Tillman, in his case, thankfully found the end zone, but he had 7 targets, but he was 2 for 22.
Yeah, he wasn't and the touchdown was pure luck. It was tipped by a defender. It should have been an interception, and it just happened to slip through his hands and fell into Tillman's hands. So, obviously don't count on touchdowns like that, but I still like Tillman a lot going forward, probably a little bit more than Jerry Jeudy, honestly. I think he's got better touchdown upside. But, the Browns passing game, it's so hard. It's so many mouths to feed, but luckily they are passing the ball 45 times a game, so there are ways that all of these guys can get fed. I don't think we're going to be... none of them had a great week this week. Fanning had the 5 catches. Njoku had 4. Tillman had 2. Jeudy had 4. None of them had a great game, but it's going to be rough in that offense going forward, especially with the run game being the way it is. I'm shocked that Judkins had the lead back as a guy that's been with the team for 15 days. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Tight end players of the week. This is what's going to be short. Dalton Kincaid, we brought it up that, we were worried about his involvement. Sure, he had a good game on paper week 1. Follows it up with a 4 for 37. He just kind of falls into that Bills passing situation where none of it was good for fantasy this past week. Jonnu Smith, 4 for 27. Tough go for him. Sam Laporta, 3 for 26. In a game where the Lions scored 52 points, he was not involved. Brenton Strange, who we liked as a streamer, 3 for 17. TJ Hawkinson and Evan Ingram, 1 catch for each of them, both 12 yards. Hunter Henry, 1 for 9. Colston Loveland, no catches on 1 target. I think you can move on from Loveland. I think you can move on from Mark Andrews, who had 1 catch.
I think you can move on from Evan Ingram.
Yep, I was going to bring him up next, but Mark Andrews as well. Just one catch on 3 targets for 2 yards. Like, he is not involved
He
in this
dropped a
offense.
touchdown too. No, I claimed move on Mark Andrews last week. He should not be on anyone's team at this point. There are so many
I moved on
streamable
from
tight
Mark
ends.
Andrews last season.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
You were well ahead of the curve. I'm proud. But yeah, no, that guy should not be on the team. Once Isaiah Likely comes back, then we can talk a Ravens tight end. But I honestly don't expect him to be much involved either. So
yeah, Hawkinson, you got to worry about him. But like you brought up, Carson Wentz, he does really favor his tight end, so there might be some upside there for him. Then Bowers had a down week, but he was coming off the injury.
He was hurt. Yeah.
In Njoku, like this just wasn't a great week for tight ends. Kyle Pitts, these guys had 8 points and they were almost in the top 12.
Hey, unless you preach Juwan Johnson like I did last week. I know you were preaching him in the offseason, but last week I was really claiming he should be picked up in a lot. And if he's still out there, he's still rostered in only 60-70% of leagues. So he's still out there in a good amount of leagues. Go get that guy.
Same as
Go
Zach Ertz.
get Juwan Johnson. 100%. Yep. Zach Ertz should be a lock in everyone's starting lineup. Not even rostered. He should just be started. Zach Ertz is the top 12 tight end every single week. Easily.
All right. You ready to preview Thursday night?
Let's get it.
Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. The Miami Dolphins travel to Buffalo to take on the division rival Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins are 0-2. The Bills are 2-0. The Bills are 12.5-point home favorites. An over-under set at 49.5. So, Buffalo, Josh Allen, you're not going to worry about the down week. You're going to play him, obviously.
No, yeah. You're just starting him every week.
James Cook, lock him in. RB1 on the season right now. It's really figuring out the Buffalo passing situation. I like Keon Coleman. And if I'm going to play a Buffalo wide receiver this week, it's going to be him. But on a Thursday, I'm probably more likely to pivot out of Coleman. But I'm fine playing him. I think you can play him.
Yeah, in 2 flex leagues and you have Coleman, I would probably start him in most 2 flex leagues as the second flex. If you only have 1 flex and it's a Thursday guy and you got guys you like going Sunday, I would rather lean them. But if I had to play a Bills receiver, it would only be Keon Coleman. I wouldn't play Palmer or Shakir.
Yep, and I'm not playing Kincaid either this week.
No.
Even though the Dolphins are historically bad against tight ends the last 2 years.
I just can't trust it, dude. Dawson Knox is out there a bunch, dude. They're using that guy the same way they've always used that guy. So if Knox was out and it was just Kincaid, maybe it'd be a different story.
Miami side, high over-under. You could probably play Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, lock them into your lineups, and Devon Achane obviously as well. You're not going to pivot out of him either. He's getting a ton of passing work, which makes up for his inefficiencies running the ball because Miami just can't run the ball this year.
Yeah, Achane, you're going to be blessed with his catch work regardless if he's not running well, which he's not. He doesn't even have 100 yards yet on the ground this season. But last week he saw 8 catches. I don't expect it to be any other different. It's going to be in the 5 to 7 range, I would assume. So Achane PPR league locked in. Don't even second guess it. And Hill and Waddle. You could probably play both of them. Just on hopes.
You play both of them over Keon Coleman?
Yeah.
Same game? Okay.
Yep.
Hill or Waddle? Which one do you like more this week? Hill had the yards. Waddle had the touchdown.
Waddle had the touchdown. I was just saying Waddle had the touchdown.
Yeah.
I think yards are more sticky than touchdowns, so I would take Tyreek.
I agree. All right. Buffalo? They win?
Yeah, man. That's historically speaking, if a team has a 12-point spread, you're like, oh, I'll take the other team to cover that because that's a lot of points. I really think there's a good chance the Bills cover that 12.5, dude.
Yeah, you just don't know what Dolphins team you're going to get.
And that's the thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If the Dolphins come out here and they're firing the ball at all cylinders, they could easily drop 28, 35 points around that range.
Yeah,
especially on a team that we've seen it happen. Baltimore lit up this defense week 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they dropped points like it was nothing. So
yeah, and then the Jets came out and did nothing, and we were expecting the Jets to do something. So who knows what we're getting in Miami? But I'm just going to take the team with the elite quarterback and the better coaching. I just can't trust Miami against the Bills. So yeah, but Buffalo wins this, I think, easy. I think they cover.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be really close to covering the 12.5. I think it's going to be probably like a 10-point spread, I would say.
Yeah.
So, maybe under.
Does James Cook get into the end zone?
Dude, he's like, hey, by the way, fuck anyone who said I was having a touchdown regression. I'm just going to have more touchdowns this year. Maybe that meme where he was like doubling touchdowns every year. Hey, man, he's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. That's good math.
Yeah.
Give me the James Cook touchdown this week. I can see it happening.
Yeah. No, you're not going to do the guarantee? Not
no,
there yet?
Yeah. No, I don't have that feeling like I did Montgomery.
Okay.
I had it. I had that feeling.
That's fair. Yeah, if anyone in Buffalo scores a touchdown that's not Josh Allen, it's going to be James Cook.
That's a solid bet, man. I take that bet 10 out of 10 times.
Yep, for sure. All right, there it is. We're both going Buffalo this one. That's the podcast.
Easy.
Got a spotlight. Went through players of the week, EA, WEAK.
I think we need to get signs or something for that bit.
so I can stop. Well, that's not going to be good for the audio only people.
I think that's true. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We got puns. We
serve up puns.
We got everything. Yeah.
Hot or cold puns, we got them.
Yep. They might not be good, but they're puns. Yeah. And we'll start also bringing some more prospect stuff. Instead of we'll always do the spotlight with one guy each, but we might kind of bounce some guys off here and there.
For sure.
As well. There we go. Drafted a podcast in the books. We appreciate you guys listening. As always, like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, all that good stuff, word of mouth. We always appreciate it. Shout out to our friends over at Dubby Energy and Finley Hats. Didn't bring them up, but Dubby Drafted Up is the code. You get a 10% discount. Go to dubby.gg or download the app on your Apple App Store or your Google Play Store. DUBBY. Use the code Drafted Up for a nice 10% discount on anything, anytime. Anywhere you want to use it, it's always good. And then Finley Hats, there's a link in the description. Click it. Their hats built for good times, long times. Ton of cool designs. Bright colors, vibrant stuff. They will replace or repair your hat completely free if it's damaged or destroyed. Free shipping across the U.S., so check them out in the link. And if you click the link, you'll get 15% off your first purchase. So, W Energy, Finley Hats, support our affiliates, and we appreciate the support you do to the podcast here. We will catch you guys on Thursday.
Adios. We'll be here. Bye.